Alright, I'm Mr. Madman Logan Creed. Welcome to Life in a Headlock, and you are?
I am the Psycho Cowboy. I'm the benefactor.
You're the first person to ever smell me. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm sure your mother did.
Yeah, well, it's possible.
And she loves you.
A little bit.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. Alright. Well, is benefactor your God-given name, or is it one you come up with?
Benefactor is the name that I came with. It's from the time that I was the breaking news to the time that I became the cowboy. It's the alter ego. It's the person who truly belongs to what I do. Benefactor is the best.
Sweet. Alright. Well, has Benefactor always been a wrestling fan?
Yes. Ever since I was very young, I was always into professional wrestling. It wasn't until I was a bit older though that it became accepted into my household. My mother, she never liked professional wrestling. She never let us watch it. She never let us put it on the television. Okay. So what would happen was, see, I'm from Melbourne, Australia. For the people who don't know, people who don't watch, who may not quite understand what I'm saying because of my goddamn accent. But where I came from, okay, I was not just from Melbourne, from a country town. So when my mother would go away for the weekend, she was a teacher. She would go away on the weekend for a teaching conference or something. So what my daddy would do is he would run down to the video store, Video Easy, who is now pretty much dead. But it was kind of like Blockbuster, but an Australian version, okay?
Sweet.
And he would go down and he would rent the latest WCW wrestling tapes. And as a child, I would sit there in front of the screen and play with my action figures, and Dad would watch the show. So as long as I can remember, wrestling's always been there, but it was never allowed on. It was a taboo thing to do.
Sweet. So y'all literally watch wrestling behind Mama's back, right?
And then the more and more, it wasn't until that I became like 12, 13 or so that I got the professional wrestling video game. Like I didn't want the video game. Somebody gave it to me, and I kept playing Grand Theft Auto. That's all I wanted to play with my buddies. I would come over, and then so then one day one of them was like, "I'm sick of playing this game. Let's put the other one on." Put the other one on, and I saw this guy in a mask, this guy doing some flips and spins, and I went, "That's really cool." And then it all of a sudden dawned on me that that's a real person. That's a real person doing that. Like it's a video game character. I watch TV and he's on there. He's a real person doing this. So I instantly fell in love with wrestling, and I've only ever wanted to do it ever since.
Well, who taught you, and what were you taught to wrestle?
I started training at the very young age of 15 years old. I was initially trained by Chris Knight. He now lives in Canada full time at Professional Championship Wrestling Entertainment down there, and then from there I moved to Alpha Pro Wrestling. Was trained by Mike Burr and Mike Manson. From there I moved on to George Julio's gym, trained by the legendary George Julio from like the original WCW days at Festival Hall. I was trained by him for a while. Then I went back to PCW, trained by another guy, Tricky D, Buddy Murphy, who's now in the WWE right now. And then from that point, I went on to train with Orlando Jordan as he moved to Australia. Since then, I've trained with many names, many places.
That's cool. Alright. Well, who inspired you to get into professional wrestling? Was it a family member? Was it a wrestler? What was it?
The funny thing about professional wrestling for me was wanting to get into professional wrestling. I never wanted to be a professional wrestler. I wanted to be Vince McMahon. I wanted to be the promoter. I wanted to be the guy who made the money and did everything. But as I kept getting older and kept getting into wrestling school, I learned that I somehow evolved into the love of the art that is professional wrestling itself. And so that's what I love the most.
Well, what is your opinion of TV wrestling? The good of it and the bad of it?
I love TV wrestling. TV wrestling has its sole purpose, which is to entertain the people in the crowd. Not so much the people in the crowd, but the people at home, the people around the world. They have a set time, they have a set limit, they have a set thing to do. And the fact that they can do that, usually on the cusp, they're making it up as they go, it's on the fly, as they say, on the fly. They usually, that amazes me, and I really enjoy it. But I enjoy all sorts of wrestling. I believe professional wrestling is like ice cream.
All kind of flavors.
All kinds of flavors. You might like chocolate, he might like vanilla, I like banana, and somebody likes strawberry.
Sweet.
All of them are good.
Gotcha. Well, that goes into my next question. What style of wrestling do you like to watch? Or do you have one?
I enjoy cruiserweight wrestling the most. Simply because it's stuff that blows my mind because I can't do it. Like, I don't like to watch stuff that I can do because I can do that. I want to see stuff that I can't do. So I love cruiserweight wrestling. I love light heavyweights. I love like X division. I love people. Not necessarily when I say cruiserweight. Not necessarily people who can flip and fly. In fact, I take that back. My favorite style of professional wrestling at the moment to this day, without a shadow of a doubt, is British wrestling. British wrestling is my favorite wrestling.
Because I love watching Finley.
Yeah.
I love watching Finley.
Finley
Beats the hell out of it.
I love Finley. Yeah, good. All good stuff.
Cool. Well, can you give me a wrestling story? Sad, funny, scary? I could see that coming out of you. So,
I'm a little scared now.
Wrestling story. Okay. I've got many wrestling stories. I got many stories under my hat. But probably my favorite story from professional wrestling has nothing to do with professional wrestling. So on my 18th birthday, okay, I had already been training for 2 years. I started training 15, 16. 2-3 years, I already been training. So it was my 18th birthday. I had a couple of wrestlers who I felt close with. There's not many at that point in time I felt very close with. I tried to keep wrestling life and real life separate, but I had my 18th birthday, I had a couple of them come down. One of them got a little bit too drunk, and we started like trading chops and forearms and things, and they went and they had this big chunky jewelry on their wrists, and they went in and they came in and they clocked me. They chipped this tooth right here. His tooth ain't real anymore. And yeah, her and I are still good friends today.
Wow.
Good old Kelly Salter. Make sure you check her out. Kellyanne, Melbourne City Wrestling.
Knock a tooth out. Gotcha.
Yeah, she's a tough one.
All right. Cool. Well, tell me about your favorite match that you've had so far, if you have a favorite match.
Without a shadow of a doubt, my favorite match is one that just recently happened. My tag team partner, the Jurassic Punk, Sid Parker, and I, Panic, we went into Melbourne City Wrestling not too long ago. We went up against, for the Melbourne City Wrestling Tag Team Championships, we went in against Marcus Pitt and Slex, TMDK. Unfortunately, we did not win that match. However, it was one hell of a match. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was the greatest match ever, but a lot of people on the night gave us feedback saying it was the match of the night. I don't know how true that is, but it's definitely, it got a place in my heart.
Can you tell me a little bit about your tag team partner? Just curious.
Okay, so Sid Parker, the Jurassic Punk. I'm the Psycho Cowboy. I'm a skeleton cowboy. What more do you want? He's a Jurassic Punk. He's a dinosaur.
The name's what made me ask the question. That's
He is a dinosaur, Sid Parker. And you know what? He will bet, he will bite, he will spray mist, as will I. But his is different.
Glandular.
Yeah. See, his is green. So because he's a dinosaur, there's a gland on the left side of the throat, just on the left, and that's the gland that dinosaurs have, as you would know, being a paleontologist that you are.
Yeah, clearly.
So with this gland, they have this poison mist. Okay, and it is full of green poison mist. Now, being a Psycho Cowboy, I also have this gland. You may not know this, but I have this gland as well. Except for mine is on the right side here. You may just see a little bit of a lump here, okay? So this gland right here, this gland is also full of poison mist. But the difference being, so mine's red, mine's burnt, mine burns, mine physically burns. It will burn your skin like a 3rd-degree burn. Sid Parker's stings. Like if it gets in your eyes, you are blind for a week, my friend.
Well, this is my final question, more like a final thought. If you would like to thank anyone from professional wrestling on a personal level, who is it, and here's your opportunity.
Thanking people in professional wrestling. There's many people that have brought me to the knowledge and experience that I've had today. Probably the first one to really let me step in the ring would have been Ken Rock from PCW. I have to thank him for letting me be a part of professional wrestling. Then I would have to say the first person who really accepted me in professional wrestling, which a lot of people find hard to accept me. I wonder why. Would be AAA superstar now, Australian Suicide. One hell of an athlete, one hell of a performer, living full-time in Mexico now, and one of my best friends of all time. Then I'd have to say would be Orlando Jordan for bringing me in, teaching me as much as he can, and he's taught me quite a bit. Booker T for the time he's trained me as well. Then I'd have to say the Southern Stomper, Luke Hawks, for not so much what he's taught me inside of the ring, but what he's taught me outside of the ring and how to conduct myself inside of a locker room. But Luke Hawks is definitely the man. Then I have to say pretty much everyone in Melbourne and everyone in Australia who's had me here, and everyone down here in Louisiana and all over the United States.
I appreciate you being on Life in Headlock. Thank you very much. That's